At first glance, Chelmsley Wood looks like just another 1960s estate. We've got tarmac and graffiti and concrete and blocks of flats, all these sharp and hard edges. But there's far more to it than that. The place has a history and it has a story. It begins about 1,000 years ago when we have the first recorded name of the place, when the place was called Chelemundsheia, and that means the enclosure of Chelemund. So we know someone of Saxon descent, or who was a Saxon themselves, named the place, they cleared an area and they made this field, this woodland, their home. Where Meriden Park is now situated is the site of the ancient woodland of Chelemundsheia. So there's a remnant still there, mainly birch forest with other things kind of creeping in, and the rest of the wood is slumbering under our feet. And the river runs through here and it runs out to Chelmsley. And when they built the estate, they put in a large lake which is full of wildlife. And the story goes that there used to be some sort of creature that lived here, and when they filled it in and the water was put in, the creature kind of got stuck. So they say that there's some kind of beast still lurking on the edges of the lake. Never seen it myself, but you just got to go with what you hear, haven't you, I suppose. So this is the old Bacon's End Bridge. For those willing to look or are following the old track out to Chelmsley, this is what you'll find, an ancient redstone bridge on all the old maps. And although it's covered in graffiti now, it was here long before the graffiti started, and it's going to be here long after, part of the story of this area. As you walk under the bridge, you can really see how times have changed, and we walk from the old to the new, and we kind of meet the places where the stories collide. And the story of Chelmsley Wood is one that is still changing and growing. And as new people move into the estate, as more houses are built, our story will grow and grow over the years to come. Chelmsley Wood's one of those places in the country that gets missed, actually, if you're just driving by or got no reason to come here. But actually, just a few decades ago, this is where a place people from the city would come out to. They'd get a train to Marston Green, which is just down the road, or they'd cycle or even walk out, because this was the first bit of countryside and woodland that you would find outside the city. And when they built the estate, Alcott House, or Alcott Hall, which you can see behind me there, was nearly demolished, but they discovered that it had a central fireplace, which is very unusual, and the building was saved. It was used as a house. People lived in it till the 80s, and after that it became offices before falling empty, and now it's been restored and people are living there again, which is great to see the house used there. But it's part of the heritage of the area. It's the oldest building that we have in the area, and the farmhouse used to serve cream teas back in the day as well to the tourists that came here. But for us, I guess it's our heritage building, showing something of the people and the story of this place. This is Chelmsley Heath Road, an ancient road that runs out to the village of Chelmsley, and this top end of Chelmsley Wood on the old maps is known as Chelmsley Heath, and it's here that one of the main stories of our area begins. Quite modern in terms of folk tale, but the story of the woodling that lives in the 13th oak. By the side of this busy road is the site of probably one of our main stories of the area, and it tells of how Tom moved into one of the new self-built houses, and trying to avoid the building work that inevitably the families had to do, he hid, and while he was here he was walking along the hedgerows and he heard some footsteps on the other side, and when he stopped, they stopped. Anyway, eventually he meets this woodling, this creature that he'd never seen anything the like of before, who asks him to try and find this treasure that had been left in this oak tree. The woodling was no longer able to get to the treasure because of this busy road that separated him. To cut a long story short, Tom double crosses the fairy, and as we all know, you should never do this thing, and despite trying to keep the treasure for himself, burying it in different places, everything was lost, and it wasn't a happy ending for Tom. But they say locally, the reason why when you dig in a lot of the gardens in Chelmsley Wood you find loads and loads of stones, that's the fairy treasure turned back to stones and leaves, because as we all know, fairy treasure never survives overnight. And this is the 13th oak in which the woodling allegedly lives. And this is the tree that Tom allegedly dug under to get to the Helmswood Woodlings treasure. It's one of many ancient trees dotted throughout all these modern houses, and who knows what else lies buried in their roots. Chelmsley Wood is a very modern urban environment, but it's built on a much older story. It goes back 1,000 years to the story of Chelemundsheia and when he first came here. But in the meantime, as this community continues to grow and change, as new places are built, Chelmund's Cross has arrived, which is a new area based on his story. As these stories unfold, they weave into the stories from the past, and we find that the stories that are our stories become part of the history of the area and weave into the landscape. So as the wood slumbers beneath our feet and breaks through in different places, we become part of a much bigger story.